Right. Everyone sit tight. Santiago, darling, make sure Lima is strapped in tightly, okay? Now then, is everyone settled? Not having second thoughts? No? Good. Well, sit tight, and Granny Jones is going to tell you one of her stories, okay? And no, before you ask, it won't be one you've heard before, and whoa! No, it's okay. That's exactly what I expected to happen. Everyone still safe and sound? Excellent. The TARDIS made an uncomfortable landing, I have to say, and the doctor seemed to be on edge straight away. I was all right, though. I could tell from the smell on the grass and the leaves of the woods that this was Earth. We walked through the village, but it was quiet, deserted, really creepy. The doctor found a newspaper on the floor that told us this was 1942. The middle of the Second World War, when bits of Britain were being bombed regularly, terrifying for the people that lived through that. Then suddenly, a rickety door on a shop was yanked open, and a shopkeeper was there. When it was all over, the doctor showed us what he had found. It wasn't a German bomb at all, but a strange ball. The doctor put this carefully inside the pillowcase. Then one of the children walked over, slightly older than the others. She was an odd child, strange eyes. They say that the eyes are the window to the soul, right? Well, I'll say this about Lily. Her eyes were telling me something, but I couldn't put my finger on it. She just seemed more mature than most kids her age would have been in 1942. As we walked towards the manse, we could see it had been badly damaged in the strange bombardment, and Lily was extremely upset. Nevertheless, she was determined to be strong, and she led us purposefully through the gates and towards the building. The doctor and I quickly caught up with her, partially because the building might not be safe, but also because we could hear plaintive cries in response to Lily's calls. The poor man, this Reverend Young, must have been injured. The manse was falling down around us. We were calling out for Reverend Young, and Lily led us to the front of the building. All I could hear was the poor man inside calling out to Lily. He sounded so hurt. Such a sad tale. Are you sure you're okay to continue? Happy that we had successfully found all the items we needed, we then spoke to the Reverend Young. I must tell you, the Reverend seemed curiously unfazed by the fact that the doctor and I didn't look local, let alone from 1942. It was like he suspected we were from somewhere else entirely, and overjoyed at the thought. As we walked, Lily explained that the grand house sat on top of some 19th century mines, and that this is where we would find help for Reverend Young. Horrified, I backed away from these awful trees. It occurred to me that these could be acting rather like some kind of guard dog trees, deliberately placed there to keep people away. Lily had spotted a dead squirrel in the branches. The poor thing was almost melted away by the acidic sap. I drew the doctor's attention to this, and he nodded, telling us he'd encountered acid this strong before, but not on Earth. But he couldn't remember on which planet. Having got inside, I couldn't quite see why we'd bothered. It was a mess. Clearly, no one had been in here for years. But then the Reverend Young collapsed. He grabbed my hand, imploring me with his eyes as well as his voice. He knew he didn't have long and put all his energy into asking me, no, making me promise to look after Lily. He said something odd, too, that Lily's job was to protect the orphans by herself now. But I didn't know what that meant. I told the doctor he had to start the compressions quickly. It was so sad, Santiago. He'd been such a brave man, but there was nothing we could have done. I suggested to the doctor that perhaps the key we found fitted the nearby door. He agreed and tried it. Success! I was going to tell Lily to join us when I realized she was sat next to Reverend Young's body. Poor girl. Gently, I eased her away and led her towards the steps. With a last sad look back at her friend, Lily took a deep breath and joined us at the top of the stairs, took my hand and walked us down, saying that it was important that we go down into the darkness. We gave the basement a good look round. It was split into a number of small rooms. Wandering around, I found a pantry with a bag of flour in it, the butler's quarters, an empty cold room for storing meats, with a few frying pans and pots hanging on the walls, and of course, a massive kitchen. I found myself looking at some wooden utensils lying on the floor outside when Lily broke my concentration, saying the kitchen was where we needed to explore. She said it would help her contact the orphans. I still wasn't sure what orphans she was talking about. I stood too close to the wall, and my hand went through the wall like it wasn't there, and I immediately saw the fire in the doctor's eyes. He said it had to be a mirage, a disguise for some sort of portal, and he needed to find some way of seeing how big it was, maybe where it went. I spotted some flour, and he smiled at me, telling me that that was exactly what he needed. It was amazing. Through this mirage, this portal, we could see the same kitchen we were standing in, but it was clearly from a different time. It was a fully stocked, working kitchen. At which point, Lily tried to pull us into it, but we couldn't manage it. It was like pushing against treacle. And the doctor said he needed to recalibrate it to allow us to go through. The doors behind us then gave way, and the room was filled with things. Pausing to get our breath back, Lily was overjoyed to hear the doctor say he had managed to do what he needed, and the time portal was ready to be explored. Lily thanked him, saying the orphans would be so grateful. He and I exchanged a look. That was the second time she'd mentioned these orphans, and I remembered Reverend Young speaking about them too. But Just as we were debating whether we really should go through to face whatever was on the other side... Doctor! And the doctor explained that he'd been a fool and now understood the clues. The armoured bombs, the acid, those little creatures which he said were called lava guns, and now these giant ants. He explained that they were called Zabi and that they really shouldn't have been on Earth. After a moment as he thought about this, he finally realised that Lily, he and I would be safer elsewhere, which was probably correct, although at the time I didn't expect him just to shove us into this time portal thing. As we explored, the doctor saw an envelope on a table and tore it open before I could point out we probably shouldn't be reading anyone's private post. But after a quick look, he passed it to me. I realized it was addressed to Mr. Theodore Leopold Lodge. He was helping push through an Act of Parliament to stop children under 10 from working in the nearby Gloucestershire mines, which was brilliant, and also told us that we had travelled by 100 years. This was now 1842, but it still didn't explain why these Zabi things were around. But the doctor was too busy at a cabinet full of weird gems and other things, including a shooting stick, to answer me. Instead, he pointed out that everything was made of solid gold. I looked around and noted there was indeed a lot of gold here. Then I spotted something else. Unsure what to make of this, the doctor pointed to the front door and told Lily and I to get out as quickly as possible. The doctor introduced himself, assuming, correctly it seemed, that the man was Theodore Lodge, whose letter I had read earlier. While they discussed the positives of what he was trying to achieve, Lily was easing me towards the front door. Thinking back today, that seemed a huge leap of logic. But of course, I didn't know then what I know now. But I'm getting ahead of myself. And before I could ask Lily anything else, Theodore Lodge spotted us leaving. At first, I wasn't quite sure why we were running, but Lily seemed very keen to get away from Lodge. And this wasn't helped by the doctor saying that collar thing wouldn't hold him for long. Lodge was obviously free and chasing us, which made Lily even more determined to get us to the mines. The doctor seemed very interested in the red Zarbi, saying he'd never seen one before, but reasoning, as on Earth, where red ants are more intelligent and organized than black ants, it might be some sort of leader. Lily was fascinated by all the light glinting on my hand, all the rings and bracelets I was wearing. She was very drawn to my big golden ring, like she hadn't really seen gold close up before. But of course I said that I was awfully sorry, but no, she couldn't have it. I explained to her that it was a gift from a king on a faraway planet. He was very sweet and had given it to me on the day of his coronation, so it had great sentimental value to me. We found ourselves at a huge fork in the tunnel, with two tunnels branching off in different directions. We each took a lamp. The doctor told me afterwards that he and Lily had a difficult time in the tunnel. Oh, Santiago, I have so much more to tell you. That worked! We found ourselves on the lip of a huge crater, and we were overjoyed to be able to see each other again. But then Lily pointed, and the doctor and I turned to see a red Zarbi carrying a cone gun, and he had spotted us. And I realized the gun acted like a magnet, but not to normal metal, only to gold. It was affecting the gold ring that King Peladon had given to me, and no matter what I did, it was being tugged towards the awful red Zarbi, which meant I was about to walk off the ledge and into nothing. I was going to fall to my death. And I realized the gun acted like a magnet, but not to normal metal, only to gold. But in fact, all they showed us was that the tunnel came to a dead end. It had been blocked by rubble and wooden struts from the original mine. And then we realized that behind it, behind this wall of destruction, the mewling we heard earlier was so much louder. And for the first time, we saw Lily so excited. She ran around hugging all the aliens in the cavern. She introduced both myself and the doctor to each of them. So many names we could never remember. But the doctor was in his element. The aliens were called the Polyoptra, from a moon called Politicus, orbiting a world called Vortis in the Isop galaxy. The doctor said he'd been in the vicinity a few times before, where he'd met the Zarbi and other locals, as he called them. He explained how we found the portal in 1942 and travelled back here to help them all escape. It transpired that the children in Theodore Lodge's house were Polyoptra children who had yet to emerge from their cocoon state into the frankly beautiful people we saw surrounding us now. And she said that as a member of Polyoptra royalty, she had neither wings nor the eyes of her people. It was what marked out her family line as different. Lily explained that Lodge had kidnapped the older children, all orphaned by the Zarbi, just as he had tried to save real human children from the mines, and was using Zarbi docile neck braces to keep them away from prying eyes. But Lily had no answer for that. No one knew what had turned them against the Optra genus throughout the Isop galaxy. But something had. As my silica sticks began to give out, it was clear that some of the Polyoptra were scared. Lily said it was really important that we get everyone through the portal and back to 1942, where hopefully Polyoptra ships would soon arrive and get everyone off Earth and away from the Zarbi. Now, where were we? Let me think. But this was a mistake. Even the Doctor made one occasionally.
Welcome, Time Lord. Welcome to the trap of Zarbi Supremo. Yes, I know all your secrets. The cavern where these useless creatures were held was full of listening devices. So I know all their plans, and I know that you can manipulate the time portal in the Great House successfully and do what I cannot. I sent some of my scouts through, but they couldn't get back. But you will aid us, and we shall take all our prisoners back to the mines I'm building across countless solar systems.
The Doctor defiantly told the Zarbi Supremo creature that he'd never help her, but she just laughed cruelly.
Oh, but you already have. You see, I know that your craft, your TARDIS, was drawn to the other time period by the portal. Once we are there, our neck-brace devices will enslave you, and you will take us inside the TARDIS, and I, the Zarbi Supremo, shall lead her race through all of time and space.
The doctor was appalled. He told the creature she couldn't do that. She mustn't do that.
I can, and I will. Now, Doctor, you will do as you are told, and you will take us there now. Take me back to the future.
The doctor defiantly told the Zabi Supremo creature that he'd never help her, but she just laughed cruelly.
Oh, but you already have. You see, I know that your craft, your TARDIS, was drawn to the other time period by the portal. Once we are there, our neck-brace devices will enslave you, and you will take us inside the TARDIS, and I, the Zabi Supremo, shall lead her race through all of time and space.
The doctor was appalled. He told the creature she couldn't do that. She mustn't do that.
I can, and I will. Now, Doctor, you will do as you are told, and you will take us there now. Take me back to the future.
Royal powers Lily was demonstrating, it worked. She was deflecting everything the Zabi Supremo and her minions threw at us with just her mind. Astonishing mental powers, creating defensive shields. But I could see she was weakening quickly. This wouldn't last forever. She called out to me, saying the only thing that mattered was getting the orphans back to 1942 and away from Earth. See the determination in her eyes and knew that the future of the Polyoptra rested with me. For now. I hung back as I saw Lily running, exhausted. I grabbed the brave young girl's hand and told her just how fab she'd been back there. Tired, but elated, she smiled, and we ran after the others. The Polyoptra saw all the kids standing as before on the stairs, wishbone collars in place. The doctor opened the display cabinet from earlier and brought out the 5 gemstones. Once this was done, the kids' own wings emerged and they transformed into Polyoptra younglings, the wishbone collars turning to dust. He held up his hand, and we saw a gold bracelet on his wrist, which I yanked off and threw away. And the silly but brave man grabbed the gold shooting stick from the open cabinet and ran out into the woods. I wasn't entirely sure what I was doing, but I had faced so many weird and wonderful and scary and terrifying things alongside the doctor that I could easily work out what was going on. This Zarbi Supremo had to be some kind of intelligent mutant Zarbi, and so it would see through whatever plan Theodore Lodge had, assuming he had any plan at all. Mind you, I'm not sure I had one either. And then something struck me. I remembered Lodge had that golden shooting stick. He was holding gold, so he was still in terrible danger of being hypnotized.
It was a mistake to imprison the Polyoptra. I had thought to use them as bait. It will be safer to destroy the great house here as we escape through the time portal. Then, as we know, the Polyoptra ship will soon arrive. We will destroy that with our cone guns, then steal the Doctor's TARDIS and... Come out of hiding, little man. I can smell you hiding there. You wanted to look after the younglings of this world. I just substituted them for the younglings of the Polyoptra, so I had something to hold over the adults. Because I sensed the loneliness within you that made you susceptible to my gold hypnosis abilities. Oh, such shiny baubles. They mean so much on this primitive world. But with my expanded mind, I could see the weakness in you. You still don't understand, do you? I am not from your world, your solar system, or even this galaxy. I was born as cattle to be used and discarded, but a quirk of nature, or a centuries buried dormant gene, who knows? Who cares? Saw me develop a mind of my own and the sense of injustice to lead me on a righteous path of conquest as the Zarbi Supremo, soon to be queen of the 12 galaxies. That seems unlikely. Sawyer. you'll die.
And I watched in horrified fascination as the red Zarbi raised its cone gun and fired, and then poor Mr. Lodge, still holding the golden shooting stick, started to rise up. And then Mr. Lodge was shot up into the cavernous ceiling. He grabbed onto a couple of conveniently shaped stalactites, and despite my yells at him not to, he began using the gold shooting stick to stab at the muddy ceiling. Wet, but not drowned, I dashed into the grand house, and the doctor slammed the door behind us. We headed to the basement kitchen. Just when we thought we were safe, well, we were wrong.
I will have my victory, Time Lord, and I will have your TARDIS access to all time and space.
The doctor told me to confuse her somehow, confuse the Zarbi Supremo and draw her towards the portal. There was only one way I could see to do that. With the Zarbi Supremo separated into atoms and spread throughout time and space by the portal, the Zarbi here were all as docile as the cattle they had been before her mutated mind controlled them. Lily hugged us goodbye, and two of the Polyoptra carried her up. I could see the other orphans and the remaining Zarbi and lava guns all being carried to safety by the beautiful insect people. And they were gone. And I realized that time had a way of working things out. The monument was to Theodore Lodge, who it said had died in a mine collapse when the lake poured through the weak and unsafe caverns. He saved countless children in 1842, the day before the Parliamentary Act became a law. And that was that. We had saved an alien race yet again. And that's what the Doctor did best. He showed us how to be better people. Now, are you all sitting safely and tightly? Because this barrel is going to go very fast as it tips over the Iguazu Falls, and I promised your parents and your grandpa that I'd keep you all safe. Because while it's great to have adventures like this, it's always good to know that someone will keep you safe. Just as the Doctor kept me safe. So, I'm promising to keep all of you safe. Santiago, sweetie pie, hold on to your sisters. And here we